Jiri Nama O Dama Jri Zoha O Namo Manjo Jiri Nama Zo Jiri Nama O Dama Jri Zoha O Namo Manjo Jiri Nama Zo Jiri Nama O Dama Jri Zoha 当年觉到自己就到了，想就跑到当年家庭大概去也这边子，着了别叫三千六百学三节，觉到自己就到了，想就跑到当年家庭大概去也这边操那，着了别叫三千六百学三节，觉到自己就到了，想就跑到当年家庭大概去也这边。 罗拉贝加藏建筑法学撒些别具就没当着是这那些年代就上级行动没得不印度给那大型拉举不学我也当过着的那面着了个没呀大呀你他他妈我今天现在给他汤就到个现代嘛那些个人情况下到妈妈也不记着呢，妈些把了长期没吃饭，直接就慢的呢。 대원대에서 랑도 고로 지방 그 중에 바히 영원의 대가 기지점도 비tin제제 만드나 대지 피스 소바다 되나 점마로 대바 주지 대바 다비샤 대다시니 발라말라 신질라도 소 뜻 샴바고이
We can't hear you. You mute. Okay.
Testing, testing. Oh, can hear. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Somehow, yeah. Think all sentient beings have been our mothers, and all sentient beings have been our mothers for numberless times. They are as kind as our mothers of this life. All kind mother sentient beings do want happiness and do not want even a small suffering. However, due to engaging wrongly with respect to objects of abandonment and objects of adoption, they experience only the result of suffering. In our minds, sincerely generate loving kindness towards all kind mother sentient beings, thinking, how nice if all kind mother sentient beings had excellent happiness. May all kind mother sentient beings have excellent happiness. I will cause all kind mother sentient beings to have excellent happiness. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
어디에서 동화 진나이 신제 대다 당지좀 리진네 나산 중화시 내발라서 봐 리지면 디비진 타다다 타나 점마로 자와 지지 자와 다게 샤와 대다시니 말라말라 신질로도 소 민제고야.
Next we generate compassions towards all suffering mother sentient beings. First we think, how nice if the body of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from all discordant factors that is discordant for accomplishing virtue. May the body of all suffering mother sentient beings be free from factors that is discordant for accomplishing virtue. I will cause the body of all suffering mother sentient beings to be free from factors that is discordant with accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
어디에서 동화 진나이 전체지 만드나시 이진지 자기 등에다 남도 차랑에 봐 타다다 타나 점마로 자와 지지 자와 다게 샤와 대다시니 발라말라 신질로도 소 상파지.
Next, we think, how nice if the minds of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from factors that is discordant with accomplishing virtue, such as fear, anxiety, coarse and subtle conceptual thoughts. May the minds of all suffering mother sentient beings be free from factors that is discordant with accomplishing virtue. I will cause the minds of all suffering mother sentient beings to be free from all factors that is discordant with accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
어디에서 동화지나 등치지 만드나지 ngāgu zīla sabi māji ngāmbā thārā thātā tāna chāmā chāwa chīchī chāwa dāgī shāwa tētā shēni bāla māla īshīnjī lō tōsō tōsī chī.
We continue to think, how nice if the speech of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from factors that is discordant with accomplishing virtue, such as lies and all those negative speeches. May the speech of all suffering mother sentient beings be free from factors that is discordant with accomplishing virtue. I will cause the speech of all suffering mother sentient beings to be free from factors that is discordant with accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
어디에서 인도디나 등치지 동화지나 등치지 만드나지 고선지 게이 샤와 두발라 멘티비 초 타다다 tāna chāmā chāwa chīchī chāwa dāgī shāwa tētā shēni bāla māla īshīnjī lō tōsō tōsī chī.
In brief, we think, how nice if the three doors of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from factors that is discordant with accomplishing virtue. May the three doors of all suffering mother sentient beings be free from factors that is discordant with accomplishing virtue. I will cause the three doors of all suffering mother sentient beings to be free from factors that is discordant with accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
어디에서 동화지나 등치지 만드나 코아다 ngēsōng kū dōngā lé dōi ngē sō lā pōngu dō sō nā ngē rāng lā pōjā tādī nē kāsa yāng tāpa dō sāngjī jī kōmbā lā ngī bē nīpa mē nīpa dā sō lā yā sō nā yāng tāpa dō bē sāngjī lā yā bē lē sāngjī tāngjī tēndā sāngjī jī kōmbā rā mbōjī jī nīngjā tōpa shāo yāng dā chāngjū jī sēng gōng shō.
Next, we cultivate bodhicitta, first by asking ourselves, who should take on the responsibility to free all mother sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and of lower realms? I should take on the responsibility to free all sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and of lower realms. However, I do not have the ability to do so now. Who have the abilities? Only those who have achieved the perfect complete enlightenment have the abilities to do so. Therefore, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, by all means, I will become Buddha.
어디에서 신제 탄치디 산지 공부하다 샤오 냠비 멤비 생 근저 바티니 랑기 니가 다이치고 용서서 벤남바 진도죠 최단계랑 이제 머리가 동반이다 랑기 세 로지도 지도 된담에 창주시데 랑기 니가 다이치고 대진도 도제가 뭐 생가 벤남바 진도죠 사투스 메바치니 탄전난주고 세지야인스.
Next, we generate all-encompassing yoga mind, the aspiring conventional bodhicitta that thinks, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, I will become Buddha. These transform into a perfect white mundis at one's heart. And the ultimate bodhicitta, that is one's mind becoming in one taste with emptiness, in which all phenomena are lacking of inherent existence. These transform into a white five-pronged vajra on top of the mundis.
어디 이제 다 공부다 랑이 주비 지다 대 간도야 마두비 랑이 주비 동안 있는 상 그래서 동반이라 상로 추지 당쇼스.
Next, we meditate for a short while on emptiness, that I exist neither intrinsically one with nor intrinsically different from the aggregates. Thus, I do not exist intrinsically.
어디 이제도 맞아 냐네 로용 간디 지바이나 이제서 파시도베 냐네지 신토바데 개침부 시다 성자 당한서 추치니 그린가라 간다 내사 곳에 집이 가서 대간다 소소비 리마이 송가게 게자 간디 사고요나 베 신신지기 쳐도봐 동고 인사 된디게 동세 야보징에도 쳐도봐이나 대가서 임바세와도 또 개치 동세 차고요래 대 임비 냐네시 임파지 냐네시 고요레스.
It is very important to conjoin our practice and our studies with the practice of six perfections. Therefore, the first practice of six perfections is perfections of generosity. And generosity is mainly about the minds of giving. So during these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, I dedicate whatever roots of virtue that I accumulate through body, speech, and mind for the sake of all sentient beings.
임바 대지에서 지팅 소야데 다 지팅 파신 냐네 생활 당가선 진짜 초여를 내사 곳에 제비 가서 다 간다 링하게 내중어도 렌진 여바 증어도 마주와 측이다 봉하시 링하게 내주 봉 뭐도 마주와 던디 봉세 야보지 여바이나 당가서 지팅 소와도 가서 저 봉세 차도거리 디송자 그 지팅 파신 냐네 생거레스.
Next is the practice of patience. Next is the practice of morality. And morality is mainly about the minds of abandoning. So during these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, whatever I will abandon my physical and verbal negativities without it manifesting.
대지에서 가서 세비 파신 냐네 심바 다 세바세와는 가서 문투비 sem바스로 로와 sem만투바 문투비 sem바의 세비고 송다 당가서 주치니리나 내상고서 제비 가서 다 리세나 빼 등에 간디 주바이나 될어 세투바지 근데 세투바 야보지 중바이나 다 세비 파신 냐네 심고레스.
Next is the practice of patience, and patience is an undisturbed mind. So during these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, whatever physical or mental hardships or pain or suffering that occurs, I will willingly accept it. I will be patient with it.
대지가 주인이 들어와 다 진리서와 간다 기와 또 있음바세 진리지 모델이 다 간다 맞아 진짜 주진이라 배 내상고서 집이 가서 다 기와도 다 생기지 된샤시도 생겨봐 또 근데 배 하장 배 가와 또 와지와시 중바이나 다 진리 파신 냐네스는 그랬어.
Next is the practice of joyous effort. Joyous effort is an enthusiastic mind for virtue. So during these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, I will take great delight in collecting virtue and accomplishing the welfare of sentient beings.
제 대지에서 가서 상대지 파신 냐네 심발라 당한선 진짜 초비리라 간다 내상고서 제비 가서 랑게 세대 게임이바 강로질라베 세제지도 네투바이나 대 간다 상대서와 간다데 랑게 세대 게임이바 강로질라 제지도 네바데 리치 중바이나 대 상대서로 거라서 와대 상대지 파신 냐네 심거를 가서 다 진짜 초비리라 내상고서 제비 가서 먼저 주쇼의 샤와마도 현다베 총례의 샤와다 난도다 나영와도 만도와 이 누구도 세대 파가니 스스와 대가로서 구투바지 중바이나 대 상대 파신 냐네 심거레스.
Next is the practice of meditative concentration. And meditative concentration is mind single-pointedly focusing on any of the virtuous object. So during these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, I will focus my mind on any of the virtuous object without it being distracted to things other than today's lesson, such as business or work or family matters. So I will focus my mind that is in accord with the Dharma.
Hero Pashi Yale Simbala, Hero Swarangazo Chedan, Chura Namji Los, Loviroa, yes, Sangazo, that Kato Jipenganto, Manzo Ben Zindama, typical Nesam was the typical Sida, Dentist to the Pacarina, Leba Shit to Wachi. Lando needs a Pacheban jet to the hit to buy a bush Chumbaina. What that Jishi Tony, then on the Hero Pashi Yale Simburis.
Next is the practice of wisdom. And wisdom is an awareness that thoroughly distinguishes the phenomena. So during these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, I will properly understand the words of the teachings, the meanings of the teachings, and I will also properly distinguish the objects of abandonment and objects of adoptions.
신선제 탄지의 상지지 공부하다가 대체도 다 장조란들이 취신에 ஞான이 측인데 기내 신gel에 펜바 두이 사고나야고 시셔스.
Set good motivation. For the sake of all mother sentient beings, I will become Buddha. In order to achieve this purpose, I will properly receive the commentary on the holy teachings, Lamrim, and practice accordingly in order to benefit sentient beings.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
나중에 난서배 공도서 따버리지 림바마치 제고요 원도 싫어와. 대 공지야데 참마기 문튀네 다가랑마 진로네. 다 공달라 가서 야지야 바 자체르체르 디제 디사르파 토야마 탄다 넘반도보다 대가랑 공지야를 간다로와. 공지야게 또 된다서 다 샴바다니 장주세 본인도 비시 돈이 동반지 된데 이 대가래 다도 성이 파츠 제모 마지바 림바 대가랑 뭐 가디나지 진리하데 생각증에네 수수배 난지 파즈 줄로라 파즈는 로기나 뭐라래 난도제 간도기나 그 소소게 상호단 배 이토라다마 그바지 소소도 상호단에 배 지부시여레스와 뭐네다네 배 난지 소소게 상호도 다 공제되바이나 배 지본 여로와 어디배 생각 때문에 해치리스와.
Yeah, so these preliminary practices of meditating as what we did just now. So I will continue these meditations in all our classes. So what we should meditate in the meditation sessions is what I mentioned just now. For example, to cultivate loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta, and also to meditate on the meaning of emptiness. And I will continue these practice of meditations so that we can develop progressions in our meditations, so that our meditations can become more extensive and become more profound. So I will not change these meditations so that we can keep such meditations in our mind. And wherever we go, whether we go to a destinations by car or in a plane, and without looking at our notes, we're able to think about it, and we can do such meditations. So if we're able to do so, it will be a very happy thing to do.
이거리는 간다 냐리 간디지 제바이나 가서 예수 파지투기 냐리지 심바데 상당고세 뜻등이 양세 양세 지고 뒤처럼서 남이 자원네 마땅로지 가서 파지투가 냐리 지야 도도도 가서 냐리 간디지 많이 찾은데나 가서 파지투기 냐리지 신투바 지바이나 다 데를 하서 자원이니 요 말에서와 어디선자 등이 가디나 두스마치 쉬고요 뒤쉬야데 배 그거 전부 쉬비지요와 사막에 남이 마다니 소소 냐리 간디시나 예수 파지투가 신투바지 예수 파지투기 신투바지 데 살롱 땅어데 냐리 간디나 세데 따다 데라 로투바지 이거를 로와 로투바지 이거를 살롱 헬레 땅 바이나.
Yes, as I always mention, that it's very important to conjoin our practice with the practice of 6 perfections. So I always mention this so that we will pay attention to it and do not just neglect these important points. So I mentioned before, even one Mani mantra recitations, if we conjoin it with the practice of 6 perfections, there is nothing surpass this. So we consider the most beneficial to do so. So we should take our time to think about this practice of 6 perfections and then to keep it in our mind because of such a great significance to do so.
Just de Lamri chemo wol mal de shul mal lebre ta Lamri nalo pashin to ga re lebro ta nga zo jimbi pashi kal lebe kala ta jimbi pashi de la tarama pashi to da demba nyane chia dusma chia yorwa salon tan ta jimba tsri le na tsri pashi de la ya tsri pashi la salon tan de pashi to da demba ma salon tan ya wa da tndi nga zo nyane kan ri china pashi to gi simba nyane che to baina ta delil hazi ta yungo ma dele ya kongri tene ya je ton chi ma to ro 단단 넘버 로보데 다 두스로 로고 냐네 산지 살은 로고나 다른 로고 나서 로와 다때 야지 이탄이야 림바 공리 테니야 자치르치르서야 마도.
Yeah, so regarding the 6 perfections, in the later part or in the later part of the Lamrim teachings, then we will see the topics on the 6 perfections, in which we're going to talk about the 6 perfections individually. So when we come across the topic on morality, is also very important to think about the practice of morality with the practice of 6 perfections. Is very important to conjoin even one practice of morality with the practice of 6 perfections as well. So it's very important to habituate ourselves with such meditations and develop progressions in this practice. So if whoever wish to reach the state of enlightenment, then we have to achieve the enlightenment based on such practice.
장주지 생지 공부이나 장주지 생 공부이나 파지 두개 냥이 생도 파지 공부다 미신다게 나서베 쇼치모 로조 지네 인세고래 다 쇼치모 로조 지비 인베가라 장주지 생 공부디 파시 두개 생투비 장주지 생지 공야 여레베스 미게 깨차 지바이나 아땡원에 원에서 여름이 따버리지 튕겨야돼 나서 장주지 생 공부나 파시 두가 냥이 생바지 공야 여러와 다 디서서게 장주지 생지 공부이나 파시 두기 냥이 생바지 보투바이나 다 니바치 Yeah,
so also when we cultivate bodhicitta, is also very important to conjoin these cultivations of bodhicitta with the practice of 6 perfections. So because we are students who study great texts, so it's very important to conjoin such cultivations of bodhicitta with the practice of 6 perfections. So in case if anyone come and ask you, when you cultivate bodhicitta, do we need to conjoin it with the practice of 6 perfections, or is there a way to conjoin the cultivations of bodhicitta with the 6 perfections? Is there such a way? Then you have to understand that there is a way to conjoin the cultivations of bodhicitta with the practice of 6 perfections, which I always mention. So if we able to cultivate bodhicitta in such manner, then it will become extraordinarily powerful.
Oh, 당에 장주지 제등이 지랑들 두가 당이다. 장주지 생 공비 가서 하시 두가 냐내기 생다 간디지 상당 그래서 니 제들 두가 당 그래 지랑들. 그러와. 다 등이 딱바리시니 만보지 시사래. 네 만보지 시사래 양세 쉬어야 되니 생라서 땡본 줘야 돼. 양 땡본 이완 니체니 다 참말 고 비즈 찬타 가이나 진저바이나 주사 지에메 봐 차로다 시우르래. 수송외니 수송 라다 제우디 된 주사 지에메 봐. 대비 쇼나 로종 가듯이들 너무 많보지 지인세 왜니 저게 장주지 생 공원데 인서 파시 두고 냐르기 생다 간디지 공고래 샴바 공원데 간디 공고래 닌제 공원데 파시 두고 냐르기 생다 간디 공고래세 예티서 공지 추는 맛이 와이나 그래서 깔리 많보 쇼지제 야 냐르 제단의 맛이 와이나 대티세 뒤세 초랑다고 샤고 와
Yeah, so these questions I'm going to ask you anytime in the future. How to when you meditate on, when you generate bodhicitta, how do you conjoin these cultivations of bodhicitta with the 6 perfections? So how do we think about it? So this I'm going to ask you anytime in the future. So similarly, I will also ask you how to conjoin the cultivations of love and compassions with the practice of 6 perfections. So it's very important to think about it and then to understand how to conjoin the cultivations of bodhicitta, love, compassion with the practice of 6 perfections. So I always mentions about this, how important it is and how to do so. So if we over a period of time and still we do not know how to meditate, then our time will be wasted. And our time will be wasted. So it's very important to think about it again and again so that it stays in our mind, and we develop progressions in our mind as well. So it is for such purposes we should do it again and again. So otherwise, and if we keep listening to such instructions on meditations, yet we do not practice accordingly, and when it's time for us to put it into practice, and yet we do not know how to do so, then our time is considered wasted.
下边呢，你听着背对的下边呢，你对这种把个当你讲把它，全就是把超浪把钱呢，当你讲把了，平别难啥就是的是切吧。这种嘛，你对这种把个当你恩数都会的，当你恩数当你古会的，上些超浪把呢，当你恩数都会要嘛的，当你讲把，可能你当你讲把了，切吧难啥就是的是，上些超浪把的你不缺一个的是。
기반 남자, 동의 공부.
기바 지자래. 돈이 공부 기바 지자래. 돈이 공부 기바 지자래. 마치 니들 좀 돈이 무슨 돈이 공부해. 상세 총아 바이나 돈이 무슨 또 두고 말 상세 소시를 와. 뭐 이래되나 니바 수치겠으나 상세 총아 바도 치아야 돼. 니바. 상지 살이야 공부 돼야라.
Yeah, so to give you an example, an arhat of hearers meditating on empty an arhat of hearers directly realizing emptiness, and also a bodhisattvas in the path of accumulation also meditate on emptiness. So both of them are meditating on emptiness. So the arhat of hearers who can realize emptiness directly, whereas a bodhisattva in the path of accumulation are not able to do so. So they do not realize emptiness directly. They are unable to realize emptiness yet. So, however, the merits that these two beings accumulate are there is a big difference in their accumulations of merit. So it's like the sky and also the earth. So which meditations who accumulate more merits between these two, who accumulate more merits, then the one who accumulate more merits is the bodhisattvas in the path of accumulations, even though bodhisattvas in the path of accumulations do not realize emptiness, do not realize emptiness yet. However, when they meditate on emptiness, the merits that they accumulate is far more greater than the hearers who meditate on, who is able to realize emptiness directly.
그래서 이것은 상세 초방받기나 돈이 공디 유서 파치 두고 냐내기 생투받지 공투고 그러와 유서 파치 두고 냐내 생투받지 장주기 생지 생받지 유서 파치 두고 냐내지 생투받지 공송사 이 니가 치아 인고래서 다들 나가서 저 정말이나 왜 돈이 공부해야 돈이 공부이나 장주기 생지 생받아 샴바 첨보다 니지 첨보도 생바 공투요 말이 이쪽에 니가 공투요 말 Why do
we say that a bodhisattva in the path of accumulations, meditating on emptiness, is able to accumulate more merits, far more greater than an arhat of hearers who is able to realize emptiness directly? Because bodhisattvas in the path of accumulation, they meditates on emptiness with the practice of 6 perfections. They conjoin such meditation on emptiness with the practice of 6 perfections. So because of these, the accumulations of merit that a bodhisattva in the path of accumulation accumulates is far more greater than an arhat of hearers who is able to realize emptiness directly. So why do we say that there is a big difference in their accumulations of merits? There is like the sky and earth, because hearers of an arhat of hearers. So even though they are able to realize emptiness directly, but they are not able to conjoin it with the cultivations of great love, great compassions, and bodhicitta. So because of this reason, it results in big difference in the accumulations of merit.
두스지 내가서 간다 파신 쪽에 냐네데 다 장서 망치하게 임바 망치하게 답에 파신 쪽에 냐네 있으나 배 니가 전부 임바 파진 체인데 그래 신고이들 대이나 배 세보 마셔봐야 다 라리 가서 rinba 이도 말로 좀 제대로 돼 하고 그래서 그 니가 체를 가지 임바 비용랍 치고 가지 임바 돼 하고 그래서
Yeah, so all of us, most probably, we know that the practice of six perfections is very powerful. It contains great powers. So when we study Lamrim teachings, so if we continue to study Lamrim teachings, then we will be able to understand how beneficial it is and how powerful it is.
야야 두시나 당가서 마디 진상데 님바 토바 마냥바 송아세 데레 장주신데 토바 마냥바 송아세 데 님바 데니 말이로와.
Yeah, so I'll continue. I will start today's lesson with guarding one's bodhicitta, guarding that which has been received without it degenerating.
당가서 님바 토바 마냥바 송아세 디마 용다다 간디스네 디 준센들와 디 용다다 간디스나 나서 생지 초기 송아라 나서 생지 초가 송아라 담보 생지데 초기 송아라 생지데 마토바 토바 셰바 토바 마냥바 송아세와 냐나 시지비 타다세 송여르와 마토바 토바 셰바 된다데 생지 초기 전에 생지 초기 전에 다 상주기 세 동발하나 디그래 마토바 토바 셰바 다 토차디 마냥바 송아세 다 이세 사지 니바 단다 토차이지라 다 마냥바 송아들와 된 냐나 시지비 타다 송세 디 송나로 님바들에 다 간다 이 용다도 셰고로 담보.
So before we, the previous outline, before this outline, it talks about to achieve what we have not been achieved. So that is regarding adopting bodhicitta through ritual. So that is the outline before this. So then we come to the second outline is after we receive or after we adopted the bodhicitta through rituals. So how do we guard that which has been received or obtained without it degenerating? So this will be this outline will be the second outline.
당보 가서 마토바 토바 셰바던 로차리데 이나가 전소 치다마 추지 러바이나로와 장주세 메세 생지 초기존에 마토바 토바 셰바스나 다 딜라 단다 송요고레 사진로지나 마토바 토바 셰 강레랑 리사 유데 가르레스 띵에스나 강레랑 유세로와 생지 레사게 유데 유 가르레스 강라 유 데 강게 레비테세 강자 가리지 랭그레스 때 강자 가리지 랭그레스 데 로와 데 제다랑 초가다 가르레스 다 데송요 예송 다 도도도도 마도 시야 이로와 다 생지 초기존라 마토바 토바 셰바데라 네 강 랑사디 유데라 메센다 뎀바치 메센다 뎀바 강자 랑 레사게 유데라 메센다 동바다 메센다 뎀바치 고레 대장지 뭐 줘봐 요도가 뎀바치 고레 해서 가서 랑사게 유지라 선시 동바 랑사 유데 로와 유데 간다 메센다 뎀바장지 마제바 요도다 뎀바치 고레 해서 다디 송도와
가자 디 안게 송로는 타마디
요도다 뎀바 요도다 메센다 뎀바장지 마줘봐 랑사게 유요로와 당가서 장주신비 동발랑기나 이게 다 템바이나 템바콜라 야 템바 마이나 라주 게롱지나 간디지나 디짤레비나 베 인디 레사 유텔라 다 메시다 템바자 마진 주도다 템바지 고고네 에세 인디지라 와 유데 드리지 고레 땅랑사 유데
Yep. So as I mentioned just now, the way to adopt it by means of a ritual. So previously we talked about receiving that which has not yet been received. That is the first outline, and second outline is guarding that which has been received without it degenerating. So this is the second outline that we are going to talk about today. And the last one is the method for restoring it if it has degenerated. So these are the three outlines. And then as a reminder, so that we all have a better so that we can remember it better. So I would briefly go through what we have studied in previous classes. So the first one is receiving that which has not yet been received. Again, this has three divisions. The first one is the object from whom it is taken. And then the second one is the person who takes it. And the ritual by which it is taken. So the object from whom it is taken, then the brief explanations in relation to this division is the person from whom we receive the person from whom we receive the bodhicitta, or we adopt the bodhicitta, is someone who have the bodhisattva vows. So is someone who have the bodhisattva vows, not just having the aspiration, not just someone who have developed aspiring bodhicittas only. So must be someone who have bodhisattva vows.
장주 세나 니와 중세 니바지 구구레스로와 네 장주 세나 니와 중세 니바 강가라 간다 다 장주 세나 도나 여바다 멘티 여바다 다 등디기 러나 바치 만디바 개요 말와 장주 세베 레야라 베 메싱 두 레야라 베 하정 그 소소베 멘티 여바다 가와 베 텔라 녀바 여바 데 등디 니와 중세 니바 등디지 여나다 참말라 렌 구구레스고.
So then regarding the second outline, second division, the person who takes it is whoever is suitable to develop aspiring bodhicitta. So that includes human or even naga beings. So basically, whoever have interest in bodhicitta, whoever have interest in bodhicitta, whoever have delight, or whoever takes delight in developing bodhicitta, or whoever have any inclinations to develop bodhicitta, have interest, like, or a great delight, who have great delight in developing or taking bodhicitta, then are the suitable object to develop aspiring bodhicitta.
조가들랑 가서 shum하게 봐지 조가들랑 교이 조왕이 조건 누구 조가 손여로와 교이 조왕이 누구 조가 손 다디 shum하게 봐지 네 마음으로 와다 그와 이시자 단도사 가지로와.
And then the third division is the ritual by which it is taken. Then again, it has 3 points: the preparatory ritual, the actual ritual, and the concluding ritual. So these I will not go through it again. So you can understand by reading it yourself.
다等到당신이 다니바 토바 만나바 송아지 된 곳이로와 다 토바 만나바 송아지 다 다시 고도 마토바 메시 조 신지 조고서 마토바 토이치더와 다 토바 만나바 토 차디 만나바 다디 송고로와 다 토바 만나바들라 다 세데 신지 만나비 줄라 라바지다 지와 해도 되다 만나 줄라바 니고 다 당보 그와.
So as I mentioned just now, this topic has 3 divisions. So the first division is the way to adopt bodhicitta through rituals. So it talks about to achieve what has not yet been achieved. And then when we come to the second outline, so after you have achieved the bodhicitta, then how do you guard it without it degenerating? So under this division, it has 2 points: training in the cause of bodhicitta not degenerating in this life, and training in the cause of not being separated from bodhicitta again in future lives.
가서 상대 당고다 가서 ছে들랑 가서 메시 조기네 차로와 메시 조기네 차데 간다 너무 제차로와 다 제차디 다 가르고스나 ছে들라 신지 문양바 줄라 간로고스나 다 신지라 도슌 페이지는 편여 된발라 바스 그러와 신지라 도슌 페이지는 편여 된발라 바 강 신지 네 페이지를 내주다 제발라 바스 강 된다 신지비 신지 르이 못공알라 바스 저너다 이히 초사발라 바스 대시어 대시 다 대시도 바 도도도 시든 예수님 리고로와.
Yeah, after we have generate aspiring bodhicitta through rituals, or we adopt aspiring bodhicitta through rituals, then it's very important to train in the causes of bodhicitta not degenerating in this life. So under this division, again, it has 4 points. Training in remembering the benefits so that the strength of one's delight in bodhicitta increases. Second, training in generating it 6 times so that actual bodhicitta increases. Third, training in not mentally abandoning any sentient beings for whose welfare bodhicitta has been generated. And fourth, training in accumulating the collections of merit and wisdom. Just like Bodhicharyavatara by Shantideva engaging in the Bodhisattva way of life. So in which there are 10 chapters, and the first chapter is the benefits of bodhicitta. So there is a great significance of mentioning benefits of bodhicitta in the first chapter, because if someone understand the benefits of generating bodhicitta, one will put effort naturally in generating it. So whatever efforts that it requires to generate bodhicitta, then one thinks that it is worthy to put in effort. So contemplate the benefits of bodhicitta by studying the sutras or hearing them from your guru. So we should study those sutras that talks about the benefits of bodhicitta and understand the meanings mentioned in the sutras. And we should also listen to the teachings on bodhicitta from your gurus as well. So, and the benefits of bodhicitta are taught extensively in the Marvelous Array Sutra. So we should study that as well.
And
he says bodhicitta is like the seat of all the dharma of the Buddha. And all the conduct and aspirations of the bodhisattvas are summarized in it. Therefore, it is said to be like a brief presentation, or is like a summary. So since although the extensive explanations of the elements is boundless, the brief presentations contains everything. So this bodhicitta is like a brief presentation that contains everything, and it also contains the essential points of all bodhisattvas' paths. So the benefits taught in Asanga's bodhisattva levels concern aspiring bodhicitta. So the benefits taught in Asanga bodhisattva levels is the benefits of aspiring bodhicitta. So there are 2 benefits of generating stable bodhicitta. And the first benefit is you become there are two benefits.
다 당부 신당바 지와 세와데 다 장주 있는데 줄을 지려나 다 신당바 간린 쪽으로 해서 다 디마 주제도마 시오로와 신당바 지와 다 인제니 하다 미다 개반도 리드가 간디나 참마게 샤시 반지와 예 그거 제야다 차셔 든디게 니바 납치모여 봐 세제마한테 뜻인지 당지진 편 니스 편이 되고 니스 진짜 때간다 간디나베 구샷 지방에서 나집에 샹바 공부하다 장주 생 공대 바이나 때베 lumba 가와지나 베 장주 생다 피어 공대 바이나 얘네 벤로와 신지 강가 베샤다 시우 참마베 간다 가부 제그레스와 가부 제그레스 lumba 드나베 신지 nda만다베 밀나바 제라서 같은 이 말이서 되지 로지요래 장바 공 장주 생 공대 lumba 드나 공게 든디 야고 지어 바이나 대가다 제세 다다 실라서 같은 게 밀나바 지야다 그걸라 든디 나바 담르 지야 이 말이서 두스 로지
So the two benefits are you become a holy field and you thoroughly endowed with the merit of non-harm. So out of these two benefits, the first one is you become a holy field. So as stated, the world with its gods and human beings will bow to you. As soon as you generate this mind, you become an object of veneration for all sentient beings. So if a person who generate bodhicitta, then the whole world, together with gods and human beings, they will bow to you, and you become an object of venerations for all sentient beings, for all 6 types of transmigratory beings. So, if someone who generate bodhicitta, and for example, in that place, so in the whole country, so even those sentient beings, or those animal beings, they will be pleased with that. Practitioners as well. So that includes birds, wild animal beings, even cheetahs, tigers, etc. They will be pleased with such cultivation, with such practitioners who cultivate bodhicitta, and those wild animals in that country, they will not harm human beings as well. So there is a history about this.
아간다 장주기 생 제마탄에 다 좀바 다니 쳔보서 다 좀바서 배 동반이 원수로 도비 고알이 더 산주니지와 고아 뽕부터 리지레데 이노베 리지고니 베 시지네사레서 장주 생제데 소소지오 대바치마라도 토마 휴베 손안에 토마 휴게 소지오 든디지나 베 다 좀바 다니 쳔보 참아 시지네 두레스와 시기 리지고니 시지네노 그레스 에 로와 데 장주 생들 다 간다 니바다 비어서 자와닌라요 말와
As stated in the scriptures, you outshine all the great arhats by way of your lineage as soon as you generate this mind. So if a practitioner, as soon as a practitioner generate bodhicittas, this practitioner outshine all the great arhats by way of your lineage. So even though those great arhats, they are liberated from samsara and who are able to realize emptiness directly. However, if you were to compare these great arhats to bodhisattvas who have just generated this bodhicitta, so a bodhisattva in the path of accumulations, so the later is far more superior. So a bodhisattva who have just generated bodhicitta is far more superior than the great arhats.
안간서 배 장주 세를 보시되 제대나 세나 충지 배 세나 충 소소 배나 다 임바다지 땅배나 카우더버지 땅이마나 임바이나 장주의 생지 생사디 제부들라 배 타여봐 배 세제마 해야 되는 요구래서와 먼저 장주의 생지 생사디 다 싸워니는 라야콘 요거 말와 덴디베 세나 충지 배 소소기 임바다 충 카우더버지 고무지 땅바이나 대간다 장주의 생지 생비 덴디 땅바이나 어떤 제부들라 배 타여봐 Lama to at kanda jachimurwa.
Yeah, so if a person who developed bodhicitta or generated bodhicitta, so even though these persons engage in the small meritorious actions, for example, giving 1 ringgit to other persons, or even giving just small needles to others. So when they give out of bodhicitta motivations, then the results of these small meritorious actions become very extensive, become boundless, and becomes immeasurable. Immeasurable, yeah.
장주 진시스나 진시 되게 사베데 춘주들이 용가 진주 춘주지요라서 용가도 춘주지 다 사베데 지따우디 힌두데 코라지 제우디 힌두 첨보 월앞에 미동사 숑바 등리기베 니바 첨보들이 제그리에스 데레 하바 간다 장주세 추지지 제바이나 소나 데레 하지요레스 간다로와 야 첨보
예, 장주기 셈디로 사베 낭시.
오 사베 덴나시베 니바 첨보 딜레 빼 치와다 간다.
딜레 치와로.
딜레 치와.
So yeah, so the example is like a seed. So if the seed is planted and then this seed give rise to over a long period of time, then over some time, then it grows into a big tree. So its shades able to cover 1,000 people underneath it. So its shades is so big that it can fit 1,000 people underneath it. So one seed can grow into such a big tree. So if one develops bodhicitta, the seeds of bodhicitta, the results of these cultivations of bodhicitta is far more superior than this.
내가 나시 상지지 공파 도야라 다 대사 조 시자의 장주지 세대 자는 거래서와 대사 시자대 오 장주지 세대 다 장주지 세대 심비토네 대지서 파지 쪽에 냥래 관리지나 땡고에 다니 니가 전부지 레투 요래세 디로와 이거 나시 파마 나시 가서 왜 부관리지나 가서 파마라 마디바 갈래 가보러 와 부구야 차야라 뭐 파마라 마디바 갈래 가보러 내나시 예서 대사 시자나고시.
And also bodhicitta is likened to earth, or is likened to a parent. So it's likened to earth, for example, whatever objects of enjoyments or resources, it comes from it comes about in reliance on the earth. So there is no objects of enjoyments can come about without depending on the earth. So for example, food, the water that we drink, the clothes that we wear, and the house that we stay in. So there's nothing, there's no objects of enjoyments. It comes about without depending on the earth. So bodhicitta is likened to an earth, or is likened to an foundations. So and this similarly, the bodhicitta is likened to a parent as well. So a child cannot survive without depending on the love of their parents as well. So if a person who develop bodhicitta and conjoin the practice of 6 perfections with bodhicitta, then such practices will become very powerful.
당어도 니바 네바 메비세나 용선 진바지 다 장주지 세는 거지디 여차이나 네바 메비세나 용선 진바지 디텔라 디리로와 장주지 세는 거지디 여차디 네바 메비세나 용선 진바 대신게 네바 메바다 수수그 세나 니데 니쿠데나라 로와이나라 칼라사베가나 이나 세나 여여레세 세나 준지 주마체바 여레세고.
And you become thoroughly endowed with the merit of non-harm. So since you are guided by twice as many protectors as protect a universal monarch or the wheel-turning king. Yeah. So yakshas and non-human beings such as those local guardians or local spirits, they cannot harm you even when you are asleep, intoxicated, or careless. So if a person develop bodhicitta, then these persons will continually accumulate merits and continually be protected. Even when you are asleep, intoxicated, or careless, the person will continually accumulate merits and be protected.
다들 너무 콜리지 지적에 소만 인지 다도 송 BSD 로도와 다들 단다데 간다 소미 송스의 시월 장주 세를 뭐지데 지라 여번에 먼저 된 콜리지 작업을 배시하는 시고도와 어떤 콜리지 작업을 배 소마 동다 제바 된디지 배 송되고나 다 장주 세를 뭐지 지라 제우데 딜레 다치 된디지 송내지 요래서 간다 어디 단 콜리지 작업을 배 왕타 전부 쉬지로와 콜리지 왕타 전부 쉬지 뭐 된디기 소마 동지연아 딜레 배 답지야 장주 세를 뭐지 지라요나 니가 시야해서 간도.
So a universal monarch or the wheel-turning kings, they are protected by thousands of protectors. So if a person develop bodhicitta, then the practitioners who develop bodhicitta will be guarded by protectors twice as many. So they are guarded by even more or double the protectors who protect a wheel-turning king.
아디 송구도 가도 니 로바 이난다 밤에 봐 수수게 야 템반나도 뭐냐 봐 간디지나 코 수수 간디지 대바 이나야 장주지 세를 뭐지리 여 차이제라 다 미다 메마 이제 간디지나 간다 내가 지도고 말했어 내가 자원이 지도고 말 수수만 니가 나지 창사를 생각시 배 수수 그 돈이 많이 내데 니란다 만다 간디 간주 가면 니란 땅이가라 그 수수를 내가 이미로 다 도바 든지 선이 연구해 도바 연구해 이나 만 니가라 수수 그 장주기 세야고 이상 땅시고 다 자원이 내가 연구 말했어 내가 지도고 말했어 좋아.
So if someone develop bodhicitta, then these practitioners will be guarded by many protectors, by thousands of protectors, and those human and non-human beings cannot harm the practitioners even when they are asleep, intoxicated, or careless. So as long as you have developed bodhicitta, you have bodhicitta in your mind stream, then even when you're asleep or even in your dreams, even when you're dreaming or you're asleep, intoxicated or careless, then you will be free of harm.
상하다 링아지 스와 디기 단다 응아선 룰라와 chanju 세되나 상하 베레소 간디 두고나 된 룰라그레스 고와 예 상하 레소 간디 두고나 데 레라 용고레스 chanju 세는 거지 생사디 다 내야다 베네 응거네라서 바다 간디지나 베더 상말바 간다로와 네바 유마도바 데 까투야게 데 니발레그레스 고와 니발레그레스 뭐 든디시고도 다 레소 단제 두도바 Yeah,
if one has bodhicitta in the mind stream, then together with this bodhicitta and the secret mantra, the words of secret mantras and knowledge mantra, you can accomplish any activities. So you can accomplish any activities such as pacifying, and you will have the power to stop or pacify calamities, harm, and infectious diseases with these words of secret mantra and knowledge mantra, and one will be free of, one will be protected from all these harms, these harms or calamities or infectious disease.
다 조공으로는 가서 산지지 공부해야 되려와 다 장주세나 산지지 공부해야 니가 여다요 단 디모공으로서 다 간서 배 대간서 나가는 펀드와서다 배 검조그서 다서 가서 정말 자자는 여러와서 가도 여러와 디모공으로 보다도 배 모두 지라서 봤더니 가시지 여래 다 간다도 성행시 자 얘기 세히 능시라서 와서다 간조 된디 배 니바토야 보다도 수사마를 간다 장주세나 대를 요구를 해서 가토야
So when we talk about accomplishment, then there are two types. One is the supreme accomplishment. Another one is the common accomplishment. So common accomplishment, such as one will be able to travel in the sky, and one will be able to walk or walk to reach destinations in a very fast pace, and one will be able to read the minds of others. One will be able to develop such clairvoyances. And also the supreme accomplishment is to have the ability to achieve the state of enlightenment. So all these can be quickly accomplished by having bodhicitta.
단 지방 지자기 동하다 먹이다 뭐마이지 네버스다 자원이 용마레세 다디 고노 지시사르디 길레부도 지포랑로와.
Yeah. And fear, famine, and harm from non-human beings will not occur in those places wherein a person who developed bodhicitta stays there. So those places where practitioners in whose mind bodhicitta developed, then they will be free of that places will be free of fear, free of causes of fear as well, such as famine and harms from non-human beings.
다 대제랑 가서 체페비워도 장주 세로 뭐지 신도이나 다 체페비워도 다 내봐 뇽하다 네메 받아와 네메 받아 간디 네봐 정바이나 이름보 텐데 많이 봐 동아 정바이나 나수 정바이나 나수 잡고 많이 와 어때 텐데 니바 요레세 거래.
And also, if one has after transmigrating, or after one has gone to the next rebirth, then one will experience little harm. So they will be free of harm. Then even if they experience harm, the harm will be experience harm or sufferings. The harm will be little or not intense, and then they will be free of sickness as well.
간다 장주 세로 보자 세파다 뱀바. 야 간다 배 얘나 배 제세 배 장이 배 세신 두여로와 츠냐바 제바 간디 주만 들라 제신 제 두여리 데 제세 제도 마제 디바스나 간다 세시시 도와 소소게 세마 시시 도와 용도바 데디기 츠냐바 셰바라 제도바다 판냐바 마셰바 어다 데디기 니바 요레서 와라 장주 세들라.
Yeah, so because you are endowed with patience and gentle dispositions, so those who have developed bodhicitta in their mind, then they will be endowed with patience and also with gentle dispositions or tame characters. So then you will be patient with harm that is done to you, and you will not return harm to the persons.
아디 장주 세로 보지나 딱간다 지난 녀석도 맞지야래 배 뉴뉴레로와 갈레가버레 가시제바이나 데레왕게 제바이나 다 뉴도 타와다 배 덴디 신체 현다 배냐월 동안 용바 나시 덴디 냐고 말했어 신디기 뉴바디기로와 뉴도 타로 그랬어.
Yeah, so if a person who have developed bodhicitta in their mind stream, then it will be difficult for such practitioners to be reborn in the lower rebirths. And in case if it happens, then the bodhisattvas or the practitioners will quickly be free from such lower realms.
아간다 데 장주 세로 보지 지라 여바이나 다 소소 리레페 리셀레페 동이 총기 등에라 간다 수도바 중앙소다 등에 비서 현다 나시 배들이 등에 잡고든지 용어야 말로와 생기 등에 다 생기 등이니까 들 잡고 용도고 말로와 잡고 마요시 총시 대체진에 땅 코알라 하자배 이주와 제도바 코알라 이주와 제도 생기를 민지 침보다 참바 침보 든지 제도야 용어로와.
Yeah, so then a bodhisattvas or in whose mind bodhicitta has developed, then the practitioner will not experience great sufferings or great physical or mental sufferings. So in case if suffering happens, then the sufferings will be of a little one, so it's not intense. And similarly, and also such person in whose mind the bodhicitta has developed, then they will become extremely disenchanted with cyclic existence, and then they will naturally have love and compassion for sentient beings.
다 장주기 생기 선언하고 지라 샤바이나 간다 선언한테 수준하고 주바이나 다 난칼라마 슈한다고 샤고리에서 그러와 장주 세를 보지 줄야지 차지라 다 간다 상지라 근데 상지기 쳐발아서 봤더니 간디 마음보 간디 피바이나 다 간다 장주기 생기 배선한테라 간다 체지야서 아니니 요 말했어 좀 상지 간다 체지야 용도고 말했어 그러와.
If the merit of bodhicitta were to become form or were to take form, it could not be contained in space itself. So if bodhicitta had form, then space cannot fit such a merit in the form as it cannot fit such a merit of bodhicitta. So no matter how much offerings of material things that you made to the Buddhas, even though you accumulate merits, however, if you were to compare it to the merit of bodhicitta, then it is incomparable. So the merits of bodhicitta or the benefits of bodhicitta is mentioned in the Questions of the Householder Viradatta Sutra as well. So it says, if the merit of bodhicitta were to take physical form, so like a thing that we can touch, that we can see. So if the merit of bodhicitta were to take a physical form, then it would fill the entire realm of space and then even surpass it. So even the space will be too small to fit the merit of bodhicitta. So it tells how extensive the merit of bodhicitta is. And continues to say, someone might offer Buddha filled with jewels as numerous as the sand grains of the river Ganges to the protector of the world. So the river Ganges refers to the great oceans, and sand grains refers to the water molecule. So if someone were to make offerings of material things to Buddhas numbering the water molecules of the great oceans. So even though one will accumulate extensive merits, however, if it were to compare to the merit of bodhicitta, it is very small.
kusu chua na ji yene de chewa la nyu de chang jewa la libe kan la gure yesi hitiu de chang ju sin la gure yesi dose le de na gure yesi lungdo
jo chenbo de ro yela
o jo chenbo doji de kwa de da chang ju kanda kwa nzi be la chita shin nyu de zo bi sang ji kumba to gu ndu za de gu shi kumba shewu de kanda de kumba shewu de da chang ju sin de rang re ndu sa da nyu de sang ji kumba to gu na de kusu chua na ji yene chewa na kusu chua na ji ya yene de kusu chewa na la 뉴도 창자와라 가르라 고레스나 지우데 때 장주신하라 고레스 예수고레스 치와나시.
So then, but to join the palms and bow to bodhicitta is distinctly superior to that offering made, as for this, it has no limit. So once Atisha was circumambulating the Vajra seat in Bodhgaya and contemplating how to attain complete enlightenment quickly, then the smaller statues stood up and asked the bigger ones, what should those who want to quickly become a Buddha train in? The latter replied, they should train in bodhicitta. So, there is a story about Atisha who was thinking about how to attain complete enlightenment quickly, and then this happens. A smaller statue stood up and asked the bigger statue. So the same questions. Then the bigger statue replied, they should train in bodhicitta.
아테이라 인게달라 이팅게 나가라 분명 게임바 히라제 다도 야가지 분명 이제 말하고 이거는 장주 심바 진지로와 이 장주 심바 진이바 다체 데들라 심바시 간다 티우디 데랭 나마나지 장주 신라 공고를 했다 니도 산지 공부 토발라 가르라 그랬습니다 장주 신라 그랬 야가로 손바리 했고로와
Also, in the sky above the main temple, a young woman questioned an older woman. So in this, I say this young woman is not just an ordinary woman. So it must be some bodhisattvas. It must be a bodhisattvas. So a young woman questioned an older woman, and the latter made a similar reply.
다 간다 대바 제목 명아 탄지 있니 디바 응어주 탄지 때 제목 다 태밀에 제반 집에 다 간다 지지 차는 거로와 다 자세나지 제발라 제목 탄지 다 간다 럽치라 간다 꾸이된 수정말이야 유사게 때 담바데 더 장주지 생들에서 다 뒤송고도와
So in that way, you should understand Bodhicitta as the condensed essential points of all the Mahayana instructions, the great treasure among all siddhis, the distinctive feature that differentiates the Mahayana from the Hinayana, and the supreme basis that exhorts one to the vast conduct of the Bodhisattvas.
다 장주지 생 공부랑 가서 조슈 제배다 조아다 배 든디베 쉬위 제고 가 쉬위 제고 그래서 배 공부 춘대다 대바 가서 배 카시부 konta 등원이 여러 배 소소 리칸다고 진도다 카시부 고스나 배 장레모니 축배 까보 된로 통만 배 통야근데 바배 통오디 가와다 미신다 그 추스는 이제 시위 겨우디 미신라 가와도 리그로와 대문에 소소 배 가장 갖고 계셔와 어디니까라 어딜 때 장주 세공 세그리 배 피해 삼아 하고 어디 장주기 생지 피해서 tre우디 땡근에 장주 세스나 배 신라 또하다 가와지와 되는 용을 세워와
Increase the strength of your delight in meditating on it by thinking about the benefits of bodhicitta. So just like someone thirsty hearing of water. So if one were to go to a mountain and if you forget to bring any water, then you become very, very thirsty. So if you hear someone saying that, oh, in one place there is plenty of clean water, then such delight in your mind, such delight develop in your mind by hearing there is a water when you are very thirsty. So you should develop such delight in cultivating bodhicitta. Increase such delight in cultivating bodhicitta.
아딜로 운동 가서 진주 그런 주 장도와 까바트미 라곤제 바이제 동안나지 니디 펜바시자 땡아서 대화 초도 받에 기제 시워로와 대화 초도 받에 다 대화 초도 받에 간다 장주지 세고 발은 배선 제고를 해서 까바 드라메 도말라 배신지라 펜발 두발라 펜발라 덴디 펜발 두발 탑 덴디 탑들라 소 가르에서나 탑데 펜발 두발 탑데 장주지 세들이 해서 탑 진지 까바 드라메 발라와 까바 드라메 발라 간다 담이 도말 때 신지라 펜바 두야라 신지라 펜바 두야라 탑 초도 집어다 가래 탑 초도 집어다 장주지 세디 그러와 다 장주지 세들 때 인바 손자 다 통하는 제 장주지 세지네 때 간다 신지라 펜바 이네 때 신지 당지게 그러니까 다 동아다 타와서 대화랑 게 받. 때 두야게 되다 내 장주지 세라 투디요레 세고로와
So Buddhas and Bodhisattvas analyze the path for many eons, and with increasing subtlety with their marvelous assorted knowledge, and saw it to be the supreme method for attaining Buddhahood. So Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they analyze for many eons what is the supreme method to achieve Buddhahood, and they come to a conclusion that the supreme method for attaining Buddhahood is bodhicitta. Thus, entering the Bodhisattva Way says, having reflected thoroughly for many eons, the Lord of Sages saw these as of the foremost benefit. So what is the supreme method for attaining Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings is developing bodhicitta.
아마도 사지 니바데마 니바 메시 로아 신지 페 지도 다 렌트도 러바시 들어와 렌트도 제발 러바시 데닌도와 오데 신지 니 페시 렌트도 제발 러바시 다 들어와 라 메시지 바 마동다 뼈 러바 니시도와
So the second division is training in generating it 6 times so that actual bodhicitta increases. This has 2 points, training in not giving up aspiring bodhicitta and training in increasing it.
아데 간다 메시지 바 마동와서 다 나서 다 메시 담보 장주 신지 피해에서 담보 피해 들어와 다 피해케네 때 간다 장주 신 간다 수도 줄라제 때 피해서 상호판에 때 양내 양도 간다 다 신지데 마냐 시들와 다 신지데 마냐 메시 렌트도 집어 들어와 메시지 바 마동와라 배워데 담보데 다 상지 상세 hini pando shi de de jenga la senje na ma da wana dawa chigi is da kanda kasi chi chabare da kanda dunga ji nyon de senje so ka dunga le ma da so dawa chigi is wa da nyom gi diba de hi diba le ma do wana da kanda so tama dawa chigi is de chanju sing pe tanja de wa chanju se da se senje tanji je sanji kompa to ba de chi do chanju se chi ya de wa wa de sunza a de chigi is de tanja shine de senje wa tanja shine 내 메시지 봐 마동 와서 간다 메시지 봐도 마동하게 니 당자 시바 선자 당안서 배 신체 카시 배 디스 저방 넘버 들 용으로 와 디스 저방 봐 배 파야보 지디 쳇배 야 진리 lon자 진게 들 용으로 와 진리 lon자 진게나 다 파야보 같이 집에는 쳇 진리 lon자 집에나 다 들랑 원에 다네 장주기 생아 마동하게 상황 그래 뭐 되게 장주기 생동하게 내가 레고 그래 수수 배 장주신게 dom바이나 dom바던 가야 내가 레고 그래 pe soso pa ta soso pe dis poba le de ro soso pa ya po shobo je pe ka din chebo je jadi ta ko gu tsu tni lonja manti ba te pe tsu ya po je de le je ya po le ka ka tsu pe de le du ja chi je ba ina de soso sang ya po tang ma de ba ina de changju sing ge dong ba dong ge ne ga de changju se yo na changju se dong ge ne ga yo ro 다 소소 배 shobo je ta du ko nga la tsu ya du ja ji ge ya po je pa sha tsu du ja ji ge sang this is Papa level, Kalo, Papa Sen, I just this chain doing worry.
So the first one is training in not giving up aspiring bodhicitta. The verse summary of the perfection of wisdom teaches that it is a sin worse than a defeat of pratimoksha. So the major the root downfalls of individual liberation vows. So to vow to liberate sentient beings who have not been liberated and so forth in the presence of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and your spiritual teachers as witnesses, but then lay down the burden of bodhicitta because of discouragement from seeing the enormous number of sentient beings and their bad actions. So so previously we already talked about the ritual procedures, then some words to recite, right? Then we vow to liberate the sentient beings who are not yet been liberated. So you already vow or you already promised to do so. So if you do not think about if a bodhisattva who have already developed bodhicitta in this way, and yet when they come across some sentient beings with bad behavior, then there is a great danger that they will give up the bodhicitta that they have already developed. So, for example, some sentient beings who have very bad behavior. So, no matter how much these bodhisattva benefits those beings, and they do not benefit in return. Instead, they even harm. Return the ingratitude with harm to the bodhisattvas. So if at that point, if the bodhisattva do not think about how say the bodhicitta properly, how to not let it degenerate. So if they do not think about it properly, then there is a great danger that those bodhisattvas will give up their bodhicitta. So that's why in this context, it talks about how to keep the bodhicitta that has already developed from degenerating.
They can that since this job on Yamanga Susu Patele Abu, so much Telinjani, Tele Lonja, Tenila Petine, they can the Chanju Simple Dombaton Rada, Chanju Senton Nega you were, they nega you were. That they can that Pishano, and do Kaba Tamala Penakanda, Chanju Sejila, that Sanji Kumbatola Kaba Mambola Tandupe, Sinji Tenduya and Bezo Chia, that the Chegudu, Chenia, say Shumbachini. The pe hachang pe kale khabu pe shoboresha asan tindi se shomba kene ya chanju se tongdo ya ginga yungo res ro chanju se tongdo ya ginga yungo res da tindi se shomba zawa ni chia ma tindi se chune chanju se tongba ina da chanju se da sota ji dongba la chanju se ji dongba la so ba so tongba ina de pe sota ji dongba tongwa le kanda te dipa chego re sota ji dongba tongwa le te dipa che dipa pe hachang pe chembu shuji re ro 다 지다 나중에 와서 배 장주 생집에 domba 동사 되나 때배 까봐 mambu지라 배 장주 생지야 배 깔래 가버리 시고로 와 장주 생 동사나
So if so it's very important to not let the bodhicitta to degenerate. Even though if one meet with those sentient beings with very bad behaviors, so no matter how much you benefit them, they just return the ingratitude by harming you. So it's very important to think about bodhicitta and do not give up bodhicitta, especially in those occasions. So not only these will become unconducive conditions for ones to give up bodhicitta. So also when we see that one have to achieve the state of enlightenment in order to benefit sentient beings, and it takes long time, takes many eons, and then it takes great effort as well. So and the necessity of training in the two limitless accumulations and difficult practices. So it's very important not to feel discouraged, no matter how long it takes for one to achieve the state of enlightenment, no matter how much efforts one needs to put in like for example, into accumulating the merits, and no matter how difficult the practices are, then one should not feel discouraged and then think that, oh, it's very difficult, then just give up bodhicitta. So especially in those occasions, then one have to be very careful. So yeah, so even though defeat of pratimoksha, so the root downfalls of individual liberation vows, the negativities is great. However, if one give up bodhicitta, the negativities of giving up bodhicitta is far greater than a defeat of pratimoksha. And the faults of giving up bodhicitta, one of it is said to be one will not be able to develop bodhicitta in eons time. So once you have given up bodhicitta once, then it will take eons more for you to develop bodhicitta again.
근데 당한서 장주세 당한서 만체다 장주기 생기 동바시 산지 장자를 좋아. 만서 라메지 왕시 산의 동바 마신의 자원이 요마래. 장주 생기 동바 마시바 라메지 왕시에서 자원이 요마로와. 매와 선상 다 장주 생기 동바세와데 만서 소야나 베케 쳔보 선상 동바다 망가 다 소소 제거의 개침보래 가르치는 만서 장주기 생기 동바단 가야 돼. 개치시 빠진다고 쏘도 가르치는 가와 니월스나 만서 때 따바 냠도 되는 게 나무이나 소속에 나무다 자산세 왔다 다 조가이나 지미디기야 디즈 만디바라 지미나 조가디기 디즈 만디바라고 다 나무이나 다 죽으다 우드슬라서 봐 왔다 든딜베 개침부터 솔라 상담 개침부 차버다 저배 나지 용달을 가서 세상에 냥네 지사 소지 따바 냠 되는다 왜딜라 공부를 간다 장주세 공 가리나 샴반니지 간리나 담보 수속에 타 내고들 공부하고 제고 야보 공시하고 대고 공리 내가 공리하고 대바이나 그 임바기도 배 장사나빠 공리 되는 거로 와.
Yeah, so most of us, so I believe most of us have already received great initiations already. So in which then one has already promised to keep, one have already received Bodhisattva vows already. So it's very important to remind ourselves to keep those Bodhisattva vows. So we have to be very careful with those vows that we have promised to keep. So, and when we are trying to keep our Bodhisattva vows, then there are obstacles will arise. So those obstacles in terms of human beings, especially those who stay close to oneself. So for example, family members like our children, and also as a spouse, like the husband and wives and etc. So those they could become an obstacles for oneself to keep Bodhisattva vows properly. So therefore, it's very important to keep those Bodhisattva vows with patience. So we must develop patience, love, and compassion, especially with those who are close to us first, who are closest to us. So when you practice, when you habituate yourselves with cultivating bodhicitta in relation to those closest ones, and also cultivations of love and compassion and bodhicitta, then you will be able to you made it into a habit. Then you develop such habituation, you extend such habituations to others. So it's very important to keep both those bodhisattvas vows, especially in relation to those closest ones.
What do the answer be? Casino Shusara answer, Chambada, Niji, so yeah, Tambo Mashi, so go with Tambo, Pesosoke, Tanitza Chichi Lago, Nanso, Nama to sort of they don't chair, the Ina, Mandi Bakina Yatila, Kundo the Pishu Chamber Langria, Kundo the Shu Chamber Lang, Dean with Roa, the Hajat stayed in the chair, the Payabu Shuchi, that Kongal Pet and Chegu do Sansalaji, the Pe, Naja the Boba Shu Chamber, the Nia, Kundo the Leo, Kundo the Shu chair at the Yure. That the Lee wants to sort of so I'm going to done did yes, Tamboni Chanju saying around Dumba Shure, that the Southern Yanni Chip Windows, Tamboni Suso Nenga the Hakovina, the Tilapa Donatia is Lel Hakova, Donatia. That is Suso Dumba Nenga, the Chia Hamovina, the Donatia to Madulacha, that she will Marwa.
Yeah, so previously when we talk about the 7 cause and effect, in which we talk about recognizing all sentient beings as one's mothers, remembering their kindness, then we also talk about cultivating bodhicitta, loving kindness, etc. So we should practice that with those who are closest to us, like for example, one's family members. So we have we have great love to our family members, and they are very we have great love to our family members, and we also have to be very careful, because though we have great love to our family members, and if they do something if they do something that doesn't suit your ideas, that doesn't suit your mind, then you will also develop great anger towards them as well. So it's something that we have to be very careful. It's someone that we have to be very careful. As those closest to us is someone that we have to be very careful. And in case if those things happen, then we have to remember, remind ourselves that I am a person who have already received the Bodhisattva vows. Then we also have to know the Bodhisattva vows as well. So because without knowing what those vows are, then one will not be able to guide it properly, right?
I did you on the Chanju say the kitchen, Jingule, Louis Chada, Pumbole, Sisondoa, Decaduma, Roa, Louis Chada Pumbole, that Rumbuchi but that Luagi Chada Pumboni, that Rumbuchi Nibanashi, be Hashan Pe, Zachimbo. The Chanju said what you like in a depe, Chanju said what you like near the tapping around Sanji, the Chanju Sembayo, the Lama Pecadine, then the region near songs of the pesos of the Hajan, be Carcere, Yansi Matabush, Roa.
So entering the Bodhisattva way says that if you give up the mind you have undertaken, you will have to wander in the lower rivers for a long time. And the same text also says, entering the Bodhisattva way also says that just as a blind man finds a jewel in a heap of dust, by chance bodhicitta has arisen within me. So one should develop delight in developing bodhicitta. So by the due to the kindness of 3 jewels and one's guru, so one should develop such great delight.
They can't deal that number tangible since such a model, the number cardinal Chanju sent the Kijitsani, Matangi Tangami, Tangami Soso Tanjashan, Roa, the Kijitsan Tangami is Tanjashat.
So like this thing, what I have found is absolutely amazing, very marvelous, talking about the bodhicitta and developing bodhicitta. And I will not give it up under any circumstances, anytime, anywhere, under any circumstances, I will not give it up. So you made a promise to yourself that I will not give it up.
That is the time of the day, and Nimba, a Pewala, as in Chanju said the Pewa, that Chanju. Jila Jeta, that Dumba the Jila Jeva in a ceremony Jeva, that the Jeshon said that Shadi didn't attend to Marwa, that they are complete Pegura, they pay Shabanazo, Chanju Simba, Satambuni, Juba, the Riba, the Satura, Satambuni, Juba. That's a Tambo to the Tomban Tangus of the Tosare. The Satambo to the Tomban Tangus of Togre, this San Nimbala, Tomban Tangus of Tobacco, Tomban Tangus of Chiba Chijare, Chiba Chio.
Sajubadiro.
Sajubada, Saniba. 자 니바 차마 동반이 경원선 도바를 지바지자를 사 당보도 찬상
Mm.
원선 도바 지바이나 다사 당보가 동반이 경원선도 도바이나 거다 수수기 방샤들 파 님보 제당을 님보 제당 다 님보 강가를 님보 제투고 말에 그사 당보 가서 배 동반이 통한 것으로 또 비깔 차디고 그래 다사 니바레 다리 텔 양자 공전 양자 공리 때고 양자 공리 때는 로드 니바 칠칠 소거 동니 또 로드 니바 칠칠 소거 그러와 tambo toning usum to ba nigal cheba chi yo mare ta sa niba ne toning us to bedela niba chi ayo gore niba ne somba la toning us to bedela niba chi ayo gore ta tu niba chir ya par ya ma to tomban ji toning usum to ba la chula chcha ba na niga na ba sha tu gore tomban ni tela pe rang se de pe chcha ba na shi pe na sha de cheba chi jang
Mm. And the second division is training in increasing aspiring bodhicitta. So since it's not enough to merely not give it up, you should reinforce it. You should reinforce it. So, I say, if one has already developed a bodhicitta or also the bodhisattva vows in one's mind, then it is not appropriate to just leave it as it is. So you should put effort in increasing it. So just like a bodhisattva on the first ground, from the first ground up to the 10th ground. So a bodhisattva on the first ground, on the first ground up to the 10th ground, up to and including the 10th ground, they are able to realize emptiness directly. So, and in terms of the direct realizations of emptiness, then they are exactly the same, whether you are a bodhisattva on the first ground or you are the bodhisattva on the 10th ground or the 10th level. So in terms of such direct realizations of emptiness are exactly exactly the can hear oh yeah, so are exactly the same. So then just like they are able to stay in the meditative equipoise in which is like water putting water and the water in putting a drop of water into the water. So they are able to stay in such meditative equipoise, focusing their mind on emptiness. So even though the direct realizations of emptiness are exactly the same, however, they are unable to they are unable to develop. They are unable to eliminate all objects of abandonment yet. They are unable to do so. Like for example, those bodhisattvas on the first ground, they are unable to apply antidotes to all objects of abandonment yet. So they have to continue. They have to continue to increase their power of mind, the power of mind realizing emptiness to a greater degree in order to abandon more subtle objects of abandonment.
다 님바 필요하대 간다 세 제바 상지로와 데이터 마땅한지 조금 말이 생데 마땅한지 뭐 줘봤다 니네서 세례서 몇번 전부 쳐버려 해서와 다 메시리자디 몇번 전부 쳐버려 해서 다 몇번 전부 야 제야 빼야 들어와 다 니네 세례서 나 시비 조가 제바 정바이나 조가 제바 같이 본도 시사로와 조가 제바듯이 데이터 마두바이나 다 소신들서 쏘았다니 그 저번에 때 상바다 ninjipe 다 상바다 ninjipe 조관리야라 장주세 레와라 신신지 대진조야 체도 신신지 동화다 다와 대체도 또 상바다 ninji 성파 두서와 로와 오다 신신지기 대진조야 체도 예 신지단지 동화다 다 된비 체도니 다 장주신지 동발링이 있습니다. 가다 뒤바데 다 상지 추조만 되잖아. 리그리에서 다 나주 공사 쪽에 예 참사라 또 상지 추조만 링도와 메시로와 오메시니아데 다 상지 추조만 두서 마차 손데네 대간다 소소가 되서 딜리는 리그리에서 거와
So since it's not enough to merely not give it up, you should reinforce it 3 times a day and 3 times a night with great effort. So if you can accomplish the extensive ritual explained above, so previously already explained the extensive ritual, then if you're able to do so, then you should do so. So if you're unable to accomplish through the extensive ritual, then you should train in love and compassion, wishing sentient beings to be free from sufferings and wishing sentient beings to have excellent happiness, other sentient beings to have excellent happiness. Then having visualized the merit field and made offerings. Then you should do this 6 times a day. So the ritual for that is to say the following 3 times in the day and 3 times at night. So this is the verse that one should, a ritual verse that one should recite. So this is the brief way. So this, as you all know, then this is the verse of refuge and bodhisattva verses. So even His Holiness Dalai Lama, sometimes due to time constraint, then His Holiness Dalai Lama also recite this in brief as well. Recite in brief, which is the refuge and bodhisattva prayers 3 times.
다 손바들이도와 다 손바들 강기된도 생집이 생지 lö이 못 보아라 로아시 그래 다 장주기 생는 가서 렌차이제라 대간다 생지 lö이 못 보아시 다 생지 lö이 못 보아서 되게 된다데 로아 생진가 히디도 저방에 뭐 요구로와 저방에 뭐 요디 다 들락되는 거 당이 다리는 선생님이 생지기 된 지금 이 이상 된디지 셈바 땅바이나 다 생지 lö이 보아사 로아 생지 lö이 보아사 What did you point your Marisora? In this Sentient Gashi Chabala Tine, then Tina and Sentient Dictator means that the Digi Samba Chibaina didn't do your money. That's all into your Marisora.
And next division is training in not mentally abandoning any sentient being for whose welfare bodhicitta has been generated. So the measure of mentally abandoning a sentient being is the occurrence of the thought, I will not work for his welfare now or ever after, depending on some situations. For example, that he has done something unacceptable to you. So as I mentioned just now, sometimes sometimes we come across sentient beings with very bad behavior. Then it's very important not to mentally abandoning such sentient beings as well. So in case if we if we were to think at that point, then we think about, oh, I will not work for his welfare anymore. So now and anytime in the future, then such thought already constitute mentally abandoning a sentient beings. So it is inappropriate to do so.
That's a Shiva the Seno the heat source of a lovers did it. Such a Shiva do that Shiva the Seno the heat source of a lover. Seno the heat source of a loss. Naso message that message is in the Chanju said to Jilla Jai Jella. They are competent, Yan Piat. This is not just about the heat source of as it delivered. That's not just about the Nazo Ganda. Jimba Tonga, Chanju say what the Chamba the Ninja to some of one that to Senate Sosan Gurua, Senate Sosan Gure. That he chose as a Toman Jitana Sanota Dirua, that Toman Jitana Sanota Sosabati, he saw Sabasi.
And training in accumulating the collections of merit and wisdom. So after one has adopted aspiring bodhicitta through the rituals, then one should increase the bodhicitta as well. That is by training in accumulating the collections of merit and wisdom. So in other words, it's the merit of merit and merit of wisdom. So having adopted aspiring bodhicitta through a ritual, you should put effort into accumulations through daily offerings to the 3 jewels and so forth as the cause for increasing bodhicitta. So besides making daily offerings to the 3 jewels, then one can also practice generosity, meditate on, cultivate bodhicitta again and again. So in order to accumulate the merit of merit. And in terms of to accumulate the merit of wisdom, then one can think about or contemplate or meditate on the meaning of emptiness.
So how go back to that Pesha, Desana, Pesha Mobotanijina, did Rajan Ramarachi Tomaino at the Kugler, the Diremudu, Kug de Notri, Jumusan, Pachia, Manchester Hakuru. Hakuru. You know that Namji below China Mambuchi, Manuichina, that Pesha, Taja Tolpe, Kisan Ramadaware, Dami, Jujimoni, Tepe, Kashigi, the Shin Ramadati Jinidua, Ramadjinidua. That the Sulatin so one needs to shown my social knowledge, but Lojo Chesade, you turn that G never slag in Gayari, Hamaware. The shown low by a shown setting the Nipa, Zerwa, 다 지야 시기 숑나서 봐 들리게 자가 개발 쪽에 숑 조장 라서 봐 들리게 숑 체대 저도 야보이 로이나 다도 저도 노야 쳐야 주니 요 말이 논주 요 말이 메데디자 자자도 라브르 신이 도와 오다도 저 로바이나 다 소소 그 리파든 토드가 nin가요 소소 그 너희는 신바도 마시바 차르고 nin가요 로고 다 간다 소소 너희는 신바도 마시바 도바사고 차르고 nin가요
di benashashana di lamrim tang sharam nyingbo tang ene di denzo gi shung zomba denzo yang ha go ro ai la
다 근데 쇼서 신다 무슨 로조 집에 가라다 신다 누구요 도와 다 나리 저런이 벌써 로디 쇼로조 집에 다 쇼신다 근데 소소 따바이나 따바이나 간다 디서 하고야 따바이나 쇼 세딘들이 따고래 해서
ya di jema ene di kaza di kola xia in be la
단다디 말로야 이다
oh tanda la be oh konda yeah so yeah, so today I will stop here. So before I I also before I end this today's lesson, I also have something to would like to tell you all as well. So when we study Dharma teachings and when we study text, then we must study a text that is a qualified text. So for example, Lamrim teachings, and then we also study Heart Sutra as well. Then it's very important when at the same time, then sometimes we want to do research, get more information, then we will go for internet, right? Then we search related topics in the internet as well. So it's very important. We have to be very careful with those sources of informations. So those sources of informations must be reliable ones. Otherwise, if we go for internet and there are so many different types of explanations so many different types of explanations in the internet, if you are unable to distinguish the wrong one or the false one from the correct one, then there is a danger that one will develop a misunderstanding, one will not be able to understand properly in relation to the topic that we are studying studying, and then you might even develop there is a great danger to develop develop misunderstanding that you have already understand the topic very well. So in fact, you do not understand, but after you read those explanations in the internet, then you think that you understand the meaning. So this is the faults of not relying on the proper source or the authentic source of information. So for those who have studied extensively, like for those in the three great monasteries, so when they come across those informations, then they are able to pinpoint the faults in those informations. However, for us, then we have to be very careful with those information sources of information.
랑리 되는 간디 송도 대배 시자 지니 대신다 로바이나 뜻뜻 카스야서야 데니로난 디고요레 두스 지야데 개침 보시다리로와 당아서 지나 아마서 랑리리 가리나 창자 로조 집에 가라 나서 좋은다고 된 나랑게 미윤다고 좋은데 나서 가르 마지 라바이나 세세나 지 디즈냐네 제도야 저 공다 디즈 제도야 디리랑게 차시도라 마치 상올레르고도 다때당 마치 시랑 시 참하게 로조 제제 소소게 상호 디스 마땅바이나 대 로조 제야다 시다 고마시바로 차르고도 와 오든디 자군도 대송장 가서 배 투투징 가서 디스 공제도야다 센스 자 인장도야 랑도 마 시연조 강가다고 라레 따야시 맞아 라레다 간투 주투지 마다
Yeah, so now I'm talking about the proper way to study. So whether we are studying Lamrim teachings or we are studying other topics as well, then we have to regard those texts as the foundations, and then we search for more informations on that foundations. So those texts must be the foundations. Those texts are the foundations. And on top of that, then we search for more informations. So when we study those texts, and that is my objective and my wish as well, my main wish as well, that I wish you all after our class and after we study after we complete the lessons, then it's very important to practice it, to put it into practice by thinking about it, by contemplating it, and then by putting it in our mind, and then by meditating on it as well. So it's not just after we finish our class, then we just close the book, and then whatever we understand something, and then we just leave it as an understanding, leave it as a knowledge, without properly thinking about it, without putting it into a practice. So if we really do so, then even though we have some Dharma knowledge, however, those Dharma knowledge doesn't serve its purpose. So it doesn't serve the purpose of understanding or listening to those Dharma knowledge. So it is very important to put it into practice, and then to practice it, and then and it's also very important to meditate on it as well, to put it in our mind.
我都是可是新加坡那边人不起来，那么所有人不起都是学，俺说写了你不贴的，他都是他妈的，都是哪里都是找那个人不起都没拿东西，他写了你不贴了，别好像胸前不胸起来，一那，把这地子用过的，把这他妈的，让一些东北的人上都是上大学，上所人不起都是搞到去那是吧？他讲什么，把这刚刚让一这个东北的上大学的。 也不差多的，算是。
바지 상마디 동만이 레이저.
바지 상자 장 20주 동바래 상都上了大学课是，바지 강가 바지 요새 그래서 노조 지하라 바지 요새 그래 바지 그거 랑 20주 동바래 해서上了大学的，要不有人算是。就是几个那是开始新加坡的话
That's all. Yeah, so I went to Singapore and I met Gebje Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and then I informed Gebje Lama Zopa Rinpoche about us studying Lamrim, and also studying Heart Sutras as well. And then I also asked Rinpoche for blessings for all of us. So, and Rinpoche replied that when we study those great texts, then there will arise obstacles, and when obstacles arises, then it's very important to think about even those obstacles are empty of inherent existence. So this will be very beneficial when obstacles arises.
我呀，这都去了，他等于这个下瘾是吧？他等于这个下瘾，他接了我说的，他哪必去用我说没事个那些学啊，没事你那些的哪必去的，隔壁去学是的嘛来的，就这样你看到这是老头呢，接了我说哪必去学的，隔壁去学的嘛，你这些是吧？我接了这个嘛来。
So thank you all very much, and I stop here, and in coming class, then I will talk about the precepts after adopting aspiring bodhicitta. So that is 4 white practices and also 4 black practices. So in this text, then is translated as 4 non-virtuous practices and 4 virtuous practices. They are exactly the same. It's just a difference of different in words only. So please read before next class. Yeah. So if Yeah, so if anyone thinking of going to Bali, then is a very nice place to go to. I also become a darker because of going play water in the oceans, and also spend some times under the sun as well. So it's a very nice place to go to.
Yeah, become dark.
Become darker already, like
yeah.
I was wondering if I could ask Geshe-la one question before we finish, or would Geshe-la like next lesson next Saturday?
Geshe-la, that's all. Yeah, please. Yeah.
Okay.
Please ask now.
To ask now, So okay, the question is on page 219. Sorry, let me check. Yeah, I think 219 in our text. It is actually the wording for adopting the ritual for adopting bodhicitta. So towards the end of that paragraph, it says, I will liberate the beings who are not liberated, free those who are not free, give relief to those without relief, and cause those who have not completely passed beyond sorrow to completely pass beyond sorrow. Right? So regarding that, as I understood it, when Geshe-la was explaining this, Geshe-la said that liberate the beings who are not liberated, the first line, to mean that to liberate beings from the two obscuration. Yeah, and then the second one is for the arhats, the hearers and solitary realizers arhats, to free them. But I have actually read from Geshe Sopa. He explained it the other way, which is that the first line, in fact, he explained the first line as liberating the hearers and solitary realizers, arhats, from the knowledge obscuration. So terbalik lah. So I'm just wondering, I mean, even the translation, in our text, we say, I will liberate those beings who are not liberated. But in other texts, in fact, they even say, I will free beings who are not free. So I'm not too sure. I think it's to do with this madrelwa, madro. Yeah. So can I please just clarify with Geshe-la, which one is which one? Yeah. Thank you.
Also Geshe-la, ini semki sungai chogani, di junta ngamagi, di lobsen re Geshe-la. Ini di semji mate wanam degi chao, dewa tagios, madre wanam doa gios, uma chimba nam yungwa gios, yungsu nyangele mate wanam yungsu nyangele dewa gios, dioro Geshe-la. And the yang sigang tama de simje ma dewa nam dewa gios ma dewa nam dewa gios sigang tambo ni de and the Geshe-la deshi gabi kabla simje ma dewa nam dewa gios Geshe-la ge deshi de simje kaza dimni le ma dewa nam dewa gios ma dewa nam dewa gios de deshi gabi kabla and yang kasa tajumba denzo ya ma joa nam joa gios de sungimba isla ine yang de kishi soba ge de tepji lo ne de shi gyaptang de yang goju lo ba re yang dele lo ba ine de semje ma de wa nam de wa gios ine yang tajumba ge kola chi giores ma joa nam joa gios ine yang semjin tamje dimni ge de joa gios jizang Geshe-la ge Geshe dang Geshe soba ge Geshe gyatang yang dis loga yoro jeza yang dini na ne hande shingo yonas
ya kanda de la te ngaso chidang kowa jetang manda wer ngaso madra wana dawa jiwa sewa de anda ngi de so je de shung de kashi ni ta yirwa shung kashi ne tu se je yandu ni rangzo mirwa de ni rangzo chidang ngaso de la kowa jetang yore chidang ngaso ta madra wana dawa jiwa sa chidang ngaso sinje dodo pa sheba ina sinje dunga le madra wana dawa jigi yi se tanda dodo tanda la chiba no de uma shiba no shiba je dunga ji uma shiba kanga de shiba jigi yi se tanda dodo de shidi de ni ni de hare madra jigi se de sinje madra yi jo de karesna shidi de ni hare dia ni ma de yo mare madra 다 그래서 지당 가서 란자다 네티드서 네티드다 좀 벌써라 자오데 다 그래서 마 자디 네티드다 좀 벌써라 마도나 도와 지서데 네티드 도사로와 네티드다 좀 네티드 도사리 히티레 도야 말 데 히티레 마도아 인사 데 히 네티드 도자 히티레 마도나 데 도와 자기세 가두 자난 디거래 지당 가서 신제 단제 도도 셰기나 단다 도도 지발레 그래 히티다 네티니까 마도이 가르 단다 가르 도 맞나 히티다 네티니 하래 히리나 니디 동아스나 단다 디르 동아 요새 히리 니디니 다 하래 또 고아 제다다 제바자 그래서 제바시다 요즘 맞지니 아니 나라 상처를 제바시다 요 맞지 그래서 데라 기제 마도나 도와줘서 니 단다 숑카신 다디 다 이제 다좀 받다 보니 니디를 도사로와 요 도사 도사다 코 마도가 가는 하스네 히디 줘요 말 was the hit the toy, Jackie is it. Tenda Dodo the Jipani Mado and a toy checking is a deal of the Dodo didn't be such Chanta in this. Since Kanji, you need a Mado and a toy jiggy is not Dodo didn't be such. And that this Shindua, Mado and a Doja, Mado and Umasha Uja, Yangin Deba, Mandi and Yangin Deba, Yandi, Yandi, Matopa, and Yandi like a checking is Ya Dodo didn't do ya. Many Yandi Matopa and many Yandi and Gaba checking is many Yandi like Gaba check with it, didn't need a pump chevroa. You didn't need a pump chevroa. And that Dodo come a Tichika on Rojan and Duver.
That's all.
That the sort of this in Georgia and sort of Chevachina Yomati with the Carson and also tender Dodo the Sinjina, Hitili Moto or Tuachis, Nidil Moto or Tuachis, Jatan Terror.
That's all. Yeah, so regarding this, these 4 lines, I will liberate the beings who are not liberated, free those who are not free, give relief to those without relief, and cause those who have not completely passed beyond sorrow to completely pass beyond sorrow. So in relation to this, so there are many there are many different explanations and there are different interpretations as well. So my explanations is based on a few texts that I refer to. So they explain in such a way as I mentioned in the class. So in brief, when we talk about these 4 lines, so in fact we can just link it to it refers to, we can also summarize it into just one point. So sentient beings, all sentient beings who are not liberated from 2 obscurations. So you can just refer it to all, refer these 4 lines to this one point. So whoever or all sentient beings who are not yet liberated from 2 obscurations, then I will liberate them. And those who are not yet free from 2 obscurations, I will free them. Similarly, apply to the rest, to the 3rd and 4th lines. So, and based on the interpretation or explanations that I refer to, and then the second line, free those who are not free, they explain it in this way that those arhats, they have already abandoned. The first line talks about I will liberate the beings who are not yet liberated, and I explain based on those texts. Then they say sentient beings who are not yet liberated from the two types of obscurations, and then the second line, then they explain referring it to arhats, though they have already abandoned afflictive obscurations. However, they are not yet free from the obscurations to omniscience. So then they explain in such a way. So based on this interpretations and explanations depends on those texts. Then I don't think I don't think there is a big difference whether the first one referring to the sentient beings and the second one referring to the arhats only. So in fact, these 4 lines can refer to any sentient beings who are not yet free from obscurations, who haven't abandoned 2 obscurations. Then we can just link these 4, explain these 4 lines based on this in relation to this. And similarly, and cause those who have not completely passed beyond sorrow to completely pass beyond sorrow. Even the 4th line out of these 4 lines, this 4th line can summarize the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd lines as well. So basically, I will cause those in this point. Then you promise to cause those who have not completely passed beyond sorrow, or who haven't achieved the non-abiding nirvana, to completely pass beyond sorrow, or to achieve the non-abiding nirvana by by the method and wisdom means.
Tendala cheba mendusia, tendala cheba yo mari takanda tsigi dejo tola tizi cheba ina kanshi dingi takanda chida sonda gen rotang da shido ina dingi haku merwa. Tendala taware tendala cheba yo mari statiso anda sinje nyangile mandiwa nyangile dawa checking is madwa na doa checking is then that doya ge jude hiti de ni ni drang resko ye that doya ge sinje de samaji be sinje thare samaji be sinje khanga de ya ge da chaju be sinje ge dangja derwa.
Yeah, so in terms of meaning, I don't think there is any difference. And however, based on the words commentaries or words explanations, and I do not know exactly. So however, the meaning wise, they are, I don't think there is much difference. So basically, you vow to free all sentient beings. So sentient beings refer to sentient beings who have not yet achieved the state of enlightenment. Then to free or to liberate or cause them to pass beyond sorrow. So to cause them pass beyond sorrow, free from or liberate from the two types of obscurations. Yeah, so even these wordings, you can find it in the solitary hero Yamantaka Satanas as well.
Oh, that is okay. The food season legally, that's on the bar. And you sort of see the legura, Dajina, what you know, the sort of loan and what's the legalist, so 7 years.
Yeah, so even these wordings, you can find it in the Guya Samaja Sadhanas as well. So you can refer to the commentaries on those sadhanas. Then you, then you can find explanations.
Okay. Thank you.
Gishi Sabah, Tavaz Chun Maripe, Keba Chimbo Shivijere, the two pay show to Solangane, Santani, and just so low is Roa. Gishi Sabasiwa, the Nazoha would pay, Gishi Keda Chimbo, Nesugi, the Keba Chimbujire. The Sugu Kandilo, the Susugo, Donatinima, Lona Yawaris.
Yeah, so Gishi Soba is also not just an ordinary being as well. Then he is a he is an adept and also very famous as well. So Hasewan, we should pay attention by studying his text as well. So at the same time, then one should also read those commentaries, read others' commentaries as well.
Me that episode I keep a kashi to the shonen ma using Jesroa at the Jes, the Nin Deshi Jetan, that see Dejo Tisman, Mandra, Yermatan, that's a cheap body start.
Yeah, so my explanations is based on those texts of great scholars as well. So in terms of word explanations and different way to explain the words happens as well.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Also Geza the Pangwaida, Giza or the Chitin Body was and Duadiva. That about the jungle chamber choke with the Tinzi Tambasajo Kana, see your timber and Doiti, the Kutsi in the Sebari shop in the Jabata. That on Janala Kadinchi, Jaji Lama Savaram Baji, and that timber and Doiti, the Kutsi in the Sebari shop in the Jabata. Yeah, Montu the Nianas about the Panudo Doyachi, New Doyachi, that and that Aroa Tindi Niabanyamta so that. Joborzilla Kanda Robachini, that member measure of Penjokton Robachini, Koranzapa, Selini, Medici, Pisons of Ayua, Sanji Kumbaya, new to have, whether the Ripachi and why he said, that Zalin de la Kandam, Juma, she never lost of Mayua, Doya, the Richard Pamwach.
Yeah, we conclude with dedication. We dedicate the roots of virtue that we have especially accumulated through these Dhamma discussions, may be a complete course for Buddha Dhamma to flourish in all 10 directions, and also for sentient beings to have excellent happiness. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue to all upholders of the Buddha's teachings, represented by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. So may their holy, may they live long, excellent health, and may their holy wishes and holy enlightened activities spread to all 10 directions. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue, especially to our beloved teacher, Kyabje Lama Sopa Rinpoche. May Rinpoche live long, excellent health, have excellent health, and may his enlightened activities and holy wishes be accomplished instantaneously and spread to all 10 directions. We also dedicate these roots of virtue to the world peace, and may excellent happiness prevails the world. May the world be free of disasters, man-made or natural. So so, and such as a pandemic, such as wars, a conflict, and any and a disaster caused by the 4 elements as well. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue to sentient beings, especially those who are in sufferings, especially those who pass away, and especially those who help others in the wretched state. So may they live long, a good health, and may their sufferings be pacified immediately and quickly achieve the state of enlightenment, respectively.
Dāgē jīnyā sābē gīwān dē tēn tāng dōwā gui lā gāng pē tā chē bā jī tē lō sāng chā bā yé tēn bē nī mō rīng chō sē jē shū chāng chū sēn chō rīng bō jē mā chē pā nā jē bā nyāng bā mē bā yā gōng nē gōng tāng pē wā shū wāng chā mē bā yé jē tāng chē bā tā kūng tā sāng bō tē yā tē kē nē pē tā gōng jē jē sū dā lō jē gīwān dē tā tāng jē rā tō ngō tō nī tā wā rīng bō jē mā chē pā nā jī jō jē jē bā nyāng bā mē bā yā gōng nē gōng tāng pē wā shū rī nī tā wā rīng bō jē mā chē pā nā 제바 냥바 메바야 고네 공도 배워 요 투존 창견 장거자 예데 진저베 예군세 조선고 예레멘 등저베 다도 되제된 도 자데 요 동리 닌제 힌도 지제선대 관계 팀들에게 천하배 뭐 딘지 정도라서 안돼서 인대 린도 요 이년 간데 핀데 모레가 관련지 상배 거제 소매 딘지 정도라서 안돼서 토연 린도 쇼 가라라 이고의 신간에 변화되고 많이 계래서 딘지 정도의 협의 신대 봐도 딘지로지 Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you, Geshe-la. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Geshe-la.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, Geshe-la. Thank you,
Geshe-la.
everyone.
Thank you, Geshe-la. Thank you, Jen.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Geshe-la. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thank you, Geshe-la. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And nice to see you, Ken.
Yeah.
Thank you.